Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Give a few minutes for people to start coming in. Get hooked up here. Can everybody hear me? How's everybody doing tonight? What's up? Man, what a beautiful spring day today was. Can everybody hear me all right? Got my other earpiece in today. Life is good, sounds good. Right on. Right on. Let's get right into it. I did a little bit of fishing today off the dock. It was beautiful, beautiful sunny day, man. It smells and sounds like spring when you're outside. Like it smells. Oh, that sun was so beautiful today. And every time the sun comes out, especially this time of year, I can feel myself noticeably. My mood, my energy, everything goes right through the roof. Um, I don't know about seasonal affective disorder um, necessarily, but I'm sure it's real. And and today felt good. I fished off the dock for 30, 40 minutes probably. Um, I fished a few minutes yesterday, and I've been throwing one of my I've been throwing some light real finesse skirted jigs. I showed you guys a couple of them that I made. Um, that's him right there. This is a skirt that I made and put on myself. It's again, I told you the other day. It's right out of the pages of my of the new In Fisherman this month. And so see that guy right there on the very top of the page. That's exactly what I made. And we got some Walleye Fest stuff to get to, but um, I was telling you guys this the other day. Everybody does things differently. I do things, and I told myself this year I'm going into this season a little differently. Um, most of the time, like most of us, I you have so many things on your mind that you forget things that when you first find them out, you think to yourself, I'll never forget this, but then you forget. And so I'm that way, oddly enough, with some of the fishing techniques that I want to do, especially if it's something that I'm not super familiar with or that I do a lot of. And so I'll say to myself, okay, I want to do this better. How do I do that? How do I get more proficient at whatever the technique is? Um, and so this year I told myself I'm going to do things a little different. And so I, I bought a little spiral notepad. But if you see that says this is ruled index cards and they're perforated at the top. So you can take this 3x5 card and take it out, perforate it and pull it right out. And like this particular one is for my jerk baits. That's going to be my jerk bait cheat sheet. Okay. And simple things. and then I go and what I'll do then is and yesterday for God, a couple hours, I sat and took a little break from work and Walleye Fest, and I just watched some jerkbait videos on YouTube, and I was watching a couple different ones. There's certain people that you know you know and trust. KVD, okay, probably the best jerkbait fisherman of all time, has won more money with a jerkbait rod in his hand than anybody, I think, on tour. Um, I always listen to anything that comes from the Linders. I believe them. I trust them. I've grown up with them. So I started making some notes, and I think what I'm going to do is I'll take that note card out and I'll laminate it, and then I'll put it either right with my jerkbait box, right in the box, or maybe I'll have a secondary little, like, those soft plastic, um, like pouches that you would put your soft plastic bags in. Maybe I'll do that and stick it in the glove box of the boat. So that way, you know, when I go to do that, I'll pull that out just as a cheat sheet, just what it's meant for. And just to refresh my memory on what I want to do, or if I make notes of how I want to do things or where, then I have that lined up. And the same thing with these. This is the third article in the last 2 years. So those are these, and I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you the walleyes eat these things just like the smallmouth do, and I'm going to prove that to myself and then to whoever else watches this year. But that soft, subtle finesse presentation, I did a lot of it late last year with swim baits, whether dragging swim baits on the bottom heavy or whether dragging, um, you know, tip down and retrieving very slowly. Um, swim baits. I fished a day with Mike Casano, and Mike's one of the, certainly after watching him up close, Mike is one of the better swim bait fishermen I've ever been around. Um, he was deadly, deadly, and he's got his system down. He explained some of it to me. I took some mental notes, but I really should take physical notes because I don't retain everything like I think I'm going to. And even when it's something that you love, like fishing, um, some of the technicalities of it, um, it can get lost in whatever. So I'm that's how I'm spending my last couple days or weeks of, um, this in between season, and I'm doing some of my pre homework for how I want, because the first day I get in the boat, I want to throw both of those. I want to throw the jerk bait and I want to throw this skirted grub. Now, there's a lot to do it. I've got a bunch of skirting material on order from a couple different locations, and In Fisherman put it right in there. They said Matt Straws, who wrote that, and Matt Straw is one of the great magazine article authors out there. Um, Huge smallmouth guy. Started out as a steelhead fisherman, um, but I've been reading Matt Straw, you know, for as long as he's been writing for them. But I'm going to be making these. I have more of them coming. I'm looking for the right head, something that I can settle in and maybe have somebody make me, 50, 100 of them, is a one-shot deal. And then my jerk baits, this is the Strike King. This came from, that's not really blue. That's just the reflection. It's got a slight blue tint to the top, but that's the reflection off whatever. It's really not blue like that. And then and that particular one, it's funny. So this is a Strike King one, and there's something to be said about all these brands of lures now that write what they are somewhere on the bait. This one would be handy. I got this late last year down to Lakeside Outfitters, and I got to go back down to Lakeside here pretty soon because there's my jerkbait box needs a real overhaul. and an upgrade. But I took this deep diver off because this is a 10 to 12 footer, and that's way too deep off my dock. Normally it would work, but the river and the lake are down at least 3 feet, at least 3 feet, if not a touch more. The bottom step of my dock is got less than an inch of water over the top of it. And normally when you stand on that step, when you're in the water, it's up to your waist. So that's 3 feet. So I switched that today in the bright sun, and I put this Rapala shadow wrap on. And this is my new JT rods. This is the Black Rain casting model, 7'3". And I bought this specifically, well, for a couple reasons. It's a medium action, extra fast tip. I have it paired with an older, and I probably will end up having to get something a little nicer and to cast a little better. This is an Akuma V100A, 10 ball bearing. It's a nice reel, but I've had it now for, God, I've had it for over 10 years. Not that, that means anything. It's just this is not my favorite bait casting reel that I own. But boy, it sure pairs nice with this rod, and this rod really casts beautifully. Now I got a casting rod for a couple reasons. I like throwing topwater on a bait caster. I like to throw lipless on a bait caster, and this can do both of those. I got it primarily as a jerk bait rod, and I also will probably, depends on my shoulder, but I'll probably throw a jig and wrap on there as well. Just because it's easier on my left shoulder than my right, that for that reason only. But I fished that today. Like I say, I was out there for maybe even an hour. I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, I think, more like it. And boy, it fished nice. And and every single time you twitch it and you're staring at the line, and I'm waiting because the Walleye's Elite jerk baits, I mean, Walleye will eat a jerk bait all day long, almost every day of the year. Just like a smallmouth, just like a largemouth in places. I'm not a big largemouth fisherman, but a lot of my gear is doing double duty out there because I like to catch walleyes and smallmouth, and they usually live in the same spots. So they typically will eat the same things just because you're putting it there for them. But man, it felt good to be out there and just cast and get used to some of my new gear and put it through the paces a little bit, especially a little tune up before we get out in the boat, which won't be too long. Let's see who's with us tonight. Merlin, what's up, Wiz? Eric Wisniewski, what's up, buddy? Rick Menzel, how are you doing? Hook and Eyes, Dennis, what's going on? What's happening? David Gould, nice to see you today. Another fine day, absolutely. Scott Duranda, Hiram Moore. Eric Wisniewski said he just pounded a plate full of seeds. He means pumpkin seeds. And he's been on the ice pounding away at them. Pretty good. I've been watching his posts, and man, those big pumpkin seeds are, I used to always call them sunfish until I was corrected, and I still want to call them sunfish, but they are pumpkin seeds. And boy, we had an absolute blast with them last year. Open water, out jigging. I mean, I caught. There were days where you would catch as many of those big dinner plates, pumpkin seeds, as you would walleyes on blade baits, jigging wraps. Didn't matter. And I think this year, and I said it last year, I really think this year we're going to have to do just even if it's just a one-day fun thing, we're going to have to do a one-day pumpkin seed derby. And I have an idea of a cool way. I have a measuring board in mind that would measure them in 3 different ways to give you a more accurate, like, is anybody out there a spring turkey hunter like me? If you look at the NWTF scoring system, it's a formula that is added together and you get a final number, and it's its weight, beard length, and spur length. And so that gives you a much better idea of the trophy caliber of the bird. Um, and I have an idea for something like that for these sunfish, where it measures length, width, and girth or thickness. Um, and you could add those three numbers together, and your sunfish could have a, you know, I don't even know. I haven't really did the math, but whatever the number is, then you would be able to compare it to other sunfish or pumpkin seeds, sorry, or bluegills or crappie and those pan type fish. Um, and then you can really gauge just how big a bowl it is, you know. But some of those big pumpkin seeds, man, I mean, Don Birdie and I, everybody that I fished with this year, like Don Birdie and I, a couple days where every time him and I would catch one of those big pumpkin seeds, we were just like, we would have to stop and look at them because they're trophies. I mean, they really are trophies for that species. And they were just pounding walleye tackle. I mean, pounding it. Um, Man, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun, a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So that's in the works for later in the summer. That's a great, summer weekend when nothing's going on. Do that on a Saturday, um, and then do a big fish fry afterwards. Because Eric will tell you, in my opinion, that sunfish, pumpkin seed, bluegill, crappies are a little different. And even the bluegills, because they tend to live in a little skinnier water. But those are Night Lake pumpkin seeds, to me, I would eat them any day, every day is the top of my list, the best eater in a Night Lake. Um, I love those fish, not to mention they're just gorgeous. They're absolutely breathtaking. They're so pretty. Um, Nothing like them. Jim Wild Brookies made it live this time. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, Jim. Don Terry, what's up, buddy? I see you were out with hold on. Once I get out of place here, let my glasses on. Man, there's a lot of comments here. I gotta put these back on. Where is it? How did I lose my place? Jim Wild Brookies, Don Terry. I see you were out with the your old writer buddy there today. I see the picture of the pickerel. Nice job by both you and Dave Figura. Paul Horacek, good evening. Mark Webb. So we're going to get to the Walleye Fest website in a few minutes, but everybody give, every time we're on and you see Mark Webb come on, I want you everybody give him a big round of applause because none of this website and all the work he's done, none of this would be possible. We wouldn't be where we are right now without Mark. Hiram, life is good. Yes, it is, buddy. My wife beat me to it. She already said, great job. Just bought a bitchin' sled for ice fishing. Now to wait till next year. Yeah, hook and eyes. Yeah. Yeah. I almost pulled the trigger on one this fall too. I guess I'm glad I didn't. But next year we'll be back to normal, I hope, and I'm sure. Sound check passed. Kevin Stone, good evening, sir. Command Sergeant Major Stone. Don Birdie, how you doing, buddy? Rumble seat. Brad Fitzgerald. Is this Brad Fitzgerald the same Brad Fitzgerald that used to work or might still for the forklift company? Out of curiosity, I'm sure there's more than one Brad Fitzgerald in the world, but Brad was my service guy when I was at Onondaga Beverage. Took care of all of our, I forgot the name the company was with. Anyway, just out of curiosity. Dave Muldoon, nice to have you with us. Hiram Moore says, if anyone is looking for lodging, I booked over in Cleveland. Three Pine Lodge has a launch and you get a dock spot as well. Ah, that's a great plug. That's a great plug, Hiram. Stuff's going to fill up fast. And I know I've had dozens of people already message me saying that they've booked places. And I know that Airbnb and VRBO has a ton of spots, a lot of which are right on the water. Um, talk about an amazing weekend. You rent a place on the water, you boat right in the dock, you get to fish with your friends and hang out with everybody and be cool and then come to the festival at night. Sounds like a pretty great weekend. Jim English. Let me read this here. Jim English. Excuse me. My wife and I flew my plane over a night of lake today and was surprised at how much ice is still on the lake. It looked like nearly 50% still had ice. All right, now, okay, now Jim. So yesterday, Courtney and I drove around the lake, and we went and did some filming in a couple of the places that we're trying to highlight on the website, and we stopped at all of our our measuring stations. I cannot get over saying weigh station. It's a measuring station. Um, and so I'm on the west end. We started on the west end, and it was ice all the way to the islands from 81 and just past the islands. And then as we went along the south shore, you could see ice out about half, three-quarters of a mile in most spots. But then when we came around the north shore, the open water is right tight to shore. I mean, you could theoretically have got a boat out. Um, so I guess that makes sense, about 50%. Absolutely. I knew what you meant, Jim, when you said it said ha. I knew had. Oh, Mary Burke, how are you? Yeah. Okay. So David, you David meet Bob, Bob meet David. Um, you guys will you guys will talk offline. But Dave, you want to talk to Bob. Bob is Rumble Seat. Dave Muldoon, I booked Anglers Bay today. He has openings for cottages and slips. Apps Landing is full. I think places are going to start booking up quickly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nice meeting. My wife says, nice meeting you yesterday, David Muldoon. Glad you booked. Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. I told that story. We all of a sudden this vehicle pulled into us next to us at the convenience store, and I look over and the guy's holding his phone up like this. He's like he was like this, and he's pointing at it, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, but the screen was black, so I didn't know what he was pointing at. It took me a second to figure out, you know, what was going on. And I rolled the window down, and we introduced ourselves, and it was awesome. It was awesome. Kevin Stone says Nick Linder is awesome. He has a ton of talent and enthusiasm, like me. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Um, I can't imagine what it must have been like growing up in that family. And there's multiple Linders that are carrying on that torch. Um, as you know, Ron's passed, and Al and Jim are both getting up in years, and so the next generation is coming up for the Linders, and Nick Linder is pretty good. I enjoy watching him, and Troy, I enjoy watching him. Um, I'm sure as the time goes on, the two of them will take a larger role in it. But can you imagine growing up in that fishing family? Wow. Oh, you're welcome, Dave. Very nice meeting you, Chris Bryan. How you doing? Carl Kapfer, how you doing? Uh, my wife says to Bob Rumbleseat, "You rock." Rumbleseat says back,
because he offered to take Dave out fishing.
"I know, I know," but he says, "Thank you, pierogi baby." Uh, Chris Bryan says, "I think it should be mandatory that every stick bait manufacturer put the diving depth on the lures." You know, it's funny. I haven't got. I know there's a trolling app that is a digital version of the old book, and now it has supposedly every stick bait there is known to man. And I got to download it on my phone one of these days. But um, I just would like printed on there what it is in case I forget. And again, another one of these things where, so I know that's a KVD Strike King jerkbait, but I don't know which model it is. I forget. Um, Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it does. I don't know. There are parts of me that I want to have everything nice and organized, and there are parts of me that don't care. So it all depends on shadow wraps. Yeah, yeah. And I lost my favorite purple one last year. Oh, oh, I was sick. And when I went back to get them, they had 17 other ones, but they didn't have that one. Um, so I've been bumming. So I'll have to do that soon. Mike Urema says the handle is on the wrong side. No, it's funny. So this is this is the same way you're reeling a trolling rod with a level wind on it. And I spent so many years of my life on my charter boat and in my drift boat um, with setups the same way. And it's just second nature. And it's funny when I pick up a spinning reel, it's just the opposite, and it's fine. That's just like everything. It's muscle memory, how we do things. Um, I have tried the bait casters with the left hand retrieve, and it's I feel the same way when I last year when I tried to jig with my spinning rod in my left hand as opposed to my right hand, and holding the rod this way. It was like I couldn't figure out how to jig. Um, Us here. Evening, brother. How you doing, buddy? And crankbaits. Let's see. Man, I keep Anthony Delamort. No way. There's been a Tony sighting. What's up, buddy? Scott the Gata present and accounted for. Bob Halstead says, "I love panfish, and yes, a panfish or two derbies." Yeah, like I say, that sounds like a good summer. Um, that sounds like a good summer thing to do. Get everybody together, have a big fish fry after, a couple cold ones, and that sounds like a summer day made in heaven. Don Birdie, they hit harder than walleyes. He's talking about those pumpkin seeds, and yeah, yeah, and fast. Like you could almost always tell immediately because the bite. Yes, it was hard, but it was so fast. You know, um, and unlike it's, I would love to see them down there in a school. Like that's where I would love to have an underwater diver, a cameraman or something down there. Um, because that school, can you imagine? I don't know how big a school Pumpkin Seeds is. I don't know, 50, 100, I don't know. And they're all that big around, swimming around together like this. That they got to look like piranhas. Uh, Eric Wisniewski says Captain Boofa received a batch today. Ah, look at you. Love the sunfish derby idea. Yeah, like I say, that's we talked about it last year, and I just wasn't prepared. You know, to take ideas and really put them into something concrete. I talked about a lot of things last year that some happened, some didn't, but this year's different. I have a better feel for how to do these things. And we've had two successful gatherings. Um, of course, we have the huge Walleye Fest coming up. So now I feel more confident in how to do things and get people together and do fun stuff. So listen, 2023 has only just started and it's going to be awesome. Randy Gushlaw, good evening. Is there an official record book of different species for a night of lake? You know, that is hilarious, Randy, that you say that. I thought about trying to do something like that years ago when I had my tackle shop, for everything a night of lake, all species, derbies, tournaments, like what's the biggest bag of smallmouth bass ever weighed in one day on a night of lake? I don't know, but I wouldn't mind knowing. I think that would be cool. Or I had somebody ask me what the largest walleye ever measured in the derby was. I wish I knew that. The Lions Club, in a lot of ways, kept terrible records. And two, back in those days when it started all the way through the mid to late 90s, there were no computers. And so wherever those records went, and my guess is they didn't necessarily care to keep them, and boxes of paper would have been thrown away eventually, and going forward, we're going to have really good records with modern technology of how many people got in, and what the leaderboard was, and the Walleye Fest website is forever. It's not just in the next couple months. It will stay there as a historical record. We'll update it. It'll still be there for anybody looking to come and fish a night of lake, as a resource to help people come and enjoy easier. Lodging and charters and restaurants and boat ramps and tackle shops and you name it. It's all going to be listed there eventually. That's what we're working on. Mark and I are working on that every day and reaching out to people, and so it's always going to be there. And so I think an official lake record book, I suppose we could add a page to that and start doing those kind of things moving forward. I don't know how we would do it in reverse, but I love that idea. I've thought of it years ago, and and then when the tackle shop closed, it went by the wayside, and I never really did much with it. But Chris Bryan says, thanks, Mark, for putting some organization to all of Matt's brilliant scatterbrain ideas. Oh, Paul, thank you. David Gould, Mark Webb. Man, I touched this stupid mouse for 1 second.
Fingers there.
Yeah, that doesn't work either. Oh, Brad. Okay, so there's another Brad Fitzgerald that used to be my ace forklift mechanic when I was at Onondaga Beverage. What's up, Jim Carker? David Gould just says thanks. You guys and girls are great people. Yeah, everybody here, we have a wonderful group, and it keeps growing every day. Um, and this group's going to grow tremendously in the next 2 months, because there's still the majority of people haven't heard. The overwhelming majority of people have not heard about anything we're doing. Certainly throughout Central New York, ticket sales have been going nonstop. At times, fast and furious. Think we're right about 200 right now, with a long way to go. Scott Duranda, I'm in for a panfish derby. Fall perch derby, total weight of up to 50. Sure. Sure. You want to know something, guys and girls? I'm going to tell you something. We can do whatever we want. I don't know how else to say that. We can do whatever we want. Now in this situation, someone's got to organize it. All right, I'll organize it. But these kind of ideas and stuff we talk about, there is no limit. The only limit that we have on ourselves is what we've put on ourselves. And I'm all for going for it. Wide open, going for it, And why not? If we all have fun, we all enjoy ourselves, why not? There is no limit to what we can or can't do. Um, so I like that, and summer panfish derby, fall perch derby. I'm with you. I'm there. I'm there. I'm there. I'm there. And listen, my only stipulation in anything we do is it's got to be fun. It's got to be a fun time, because that's what makes people come back. Mike Urema, tell me what to do. So this Saturday, Brewerton Fire Department, okay, Brewerton Volunteer Fire Department on Route 11 in Brewerton is hosting the Alosta, that's the Eastern Lake Ontario Salmon and Trout Association. They're holding their, Mike, what do they call it? Are they officially calling it a swap meet? The whole big room that they're at the in the back of the fire department is going to be booths, tables set up. Brian Hammond, Hammer Time Tackle will be there. Mike Urema, I1 Baits will be there. I don't know the rest of who's going to be there. And I don't know if it's all new stuff or mixed with new and used. Shame on me, I haven't got all the details down. But Mike and Brian both have tables there. Mike and Brian are both on on the Derby committee, and I'm going to be there with my laptop. And why am I going to be there with my laptop? I've had a couple people reach out to me recently, and I knew this was going to happen, so we're gonna handle it now. Walleye Fest, all the tickets are 100% online. Now, there's a method to my madness, and that's because it is the simplest, easiest, most efficient way to get everybody a ticket without chasing all over the countryside and having money out there, and whatever. So that being said, I also know there are some people that are a little intimidated by technology or just flat out don't have it or use it. Okay. So how are we going to get those people into the Derby and welcome them with open arms? This is the first thing I'm going to do. And I'm going to be there with my laptop, and all you have to do is come with a credit card. Okay. And I'll put your information in while you're sitting right there with me, and I'll show you how it works. I'll buy your ticket with your information, and the email will be sent right to you. If you don't have email, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. We'll figure something out. I can send it to it. I can have it printed. I think right there on the spot. I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll bring it.
I'm sure. We'll figure out a way to bring the printer if that's the case, and we'll print out the receipt you get with your QR code on it, and you don't even have to know what that means. When you get ready to weigh in your measure, your big fish, then you're going to show the people at the measuring station your piece of paper, and that's for everybody. Because when you get your receipt from buying your ticket, you can have it on your phone with the QR code, which will be scanned by the person doing the data entry from Walleye Fest, or you can have your physical printed out piece of paper, which is now your ticket, and that can be scanned as well. So I'm going to. So Bill Morey just said the same thing. My buddy won't conduct financial transactions online. So I got his email and bought his ticket for him and his information. Okay. So that's the same thing we're going to do. And if any of you people out there have friends that are technically challenged or, whatever, and listen, I suppose, see, I don't want to get into dealing with cash in this situation. If that was the absolute final straw, you could give me cash and we'll still get your ticket and get it for you. And we're going to do this a couple more times between now and Derby time. And I'll put it out in advance. I'll try to let everybody know, everybody watching these videos. If you know people like that, and I've had a couple people message me today. And Mark, I want to thank you for messaging me today and bringing that to my attention. I knew this was going to be an issue. I'm hoping that it's a very small percentage, which I think it is. In this day and age, everybody orders stuff online. I can assure you that we've taken every step possible to make our website through our provider the absolute most secure it can possibly be. So I suppose anything could happen, but we've taken every precaution that we have available to us to make sure that our online portal for this is secure and that you have nothing to worry about. So that's my public service announcement, but we're going to be doing some more of these, get-togethers, so to speak, and get some people together that want to be in the Derby, because I don't have any way of putting tickets out along the countryside like the Lions Club used to. It's such a flawed system that we're not going there. So, but take heart, because where there's a will, there's a way. If you want into the Derby, someone, whether it's me or anyone else, because anybody can put and buy that ticket for you, as long as all of your information around it. And if you've already bought a ticket, it won't let you put the same information in again. So even if you wanted to, you can't do that. Each ticket has to have individual information. But again, this Saturday at Brewerton Fire Department, I will personally be there. And listen, I'm going to look around and spend money anyway. But if anybody wants a ticket that has not been able to get online or whatever, then come see me, and I'll be right there, and I'll do it for you, and we'll be good. It's called the Fishing Flea Market and Seminars on March 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Brewerton Fire Hall. And then again, that's Alosta, Eastern Lake Ontario Salmon and Trout Association. So there's going to be all kinds of stuff. So that flea market means there's going to be new and used there, which is cool. I'm assuming there'll probably be charter captains and stuff there, and those guys, you might be able to pick up. You might be able to pick up some really good deals on stuff that has just been used and not abused, and you can still get a lot of use out of it. Carl Cap first says, Captain Sean Kennedy from Irish Knot Sport Fishing. He will talk about, he's doing a walleye seminar. I talked to Sean the other day, talked to him today about 4 times. Sean's the first charter captain we have officially signed up on the website. So let's talk about the website. Today we've made multiple additions to the website. There's a welcome video on the front page, welcoming everybody to the Walleye Fest. We have the charter page now up. So charter captains out there, you can get your free listing to list your charter service on the website. And we ask that you say whether you're available or not for that weekend. So our customer can come to the website and look and see right from the charter page, if they're looking to book a charter, who's available. All right. So that's going to be first thing. What else did we do today, Mark? We did the charter page. We did the new welcome video. There was something else we did today too, right? Everybody out there should start seeing some emails from us going out through the mailing list. Oh, vendors. The vendor page is up, and here's the process for vendors. And I talk about vendors. I have 64 slots available for the outdoor show that'll be on the festival grounds. 64 10 by 10 spaces. Okay. So if you are a vendor or if you know somebody that wants to be a vendor, here's the process. You're going to go to the website, to the festival page. You're going to look at the map, and you're going to pick out your choice of 3 spots that you would like. And then you're going to go back to the festival page, and you're going to fill out the contact form and send it off. I am the one that will look at it. I'll figure out where we're going to put you between your 3 spots, your 3 choices, and then I'll send you out an invoice, and you're in. Okay. So if you know in this, I mean, I'm not going to say it's open to just anybody, but the vendors that we have and the vendors that we want to bring in are going to cover a wide variety. It's not just going to be fishing stuff. Okay. That would be a little redundant. Even though it's a fishing derby and a walleye festival, there's going to be a ton of fishing stuff there, and a lot of great companies are going to be represented. But there's going to be other stuff because it's not just fishermen that are going to be showing up. We're going to have stuff for the ladies. We're going to have stuff for the kids. We're going to have stuff for people that don't fish. I'm not sure why you wouldn't fish, but if you don't, we're going to still have fun stuff for that. And so today we're talking about getting vendors to come to the website and let us know, and charter captains. Okay. We're still sending emails. Yep. Mimi, I bought the 2 cards and I will mail them out to you tomorrow, the gift cards. Okay, so I'm going to take a second. So Mimi messaged me the other day and said that her and her family would like to donate in honor of a loved one of theirs that passed away recently, who was an avid fisherman. They wanted to donate 2 $25 gift cards to be raffled off between now and the Derby when we do our weekly prize drawing based on the ticket numbers that have already been sold. And I thought that was really wonderful. And I'm honored. I'm honored to have a platform to where we can do something like that. And when I have the when I have the gift cards, and I also asked her if she would write up, a paragraph about their loved one. I'd be more than honored to read it and give those cards away to somebody in that person's honor. And it got me thinking too. I was watching the Syracuse game Saturday night, and it's the 20-year anniversary of the 2003 national championship team. And as a lifelong fan of Syracuse sports, and certainly Syracuse basketball, that was we had a couple chances before, the 87 team, in that dagger from Keith Smart in the corner from Indiana. And then it was 94, I think, that we went and lost to Kentucky in a game that we should have never been in, and we really were right to the end. But it's 20 years since that championship. My grandpa passed away March 28th, 2003. It was right in the middle of that championship run. And he was the one that taught me how to be a Syracuse fan. And That was such a bittersweet time for me. Um, Losing him in the middle of it. I At the time, the funeral home in Central Square was owned by a friend of mine that I grew up with, Chip Ladd, and it was a tough time. And I remember Chip coming to me during the services, and he goes, "I got the game on in my office." He goes, "If you guys want to come in and get your mind off things for a few minutes." And next thing you know, there was 30 of us standing in his office that was like 5 by 5 crammed in there. And my grandpa would have loved it. He would have loved it. Ah, it's been 20 years. It's hard to believe, So when Mimi said to me about, can I donate something in someone else's honor, I think I'm going to do that for my gramp too. And I'm not sure what I'm going to add to one of these weekly giveaways. I'll do it. I'll do the one right around the anniversary of his passing. Um, but I'm going to do something special, and I think I might even do something of his. I have boxes and boxes of his old tackle, and I think maybe I might even give whoever wins that week one of his old lures, um, as a way for me to say thank you and to keep him alive. Yeah. He would love this. He would love it. So thanks, Mimi, for thinking of us and letting us carry on your loved one's name too, because that stuff means a lot to me. Uh, Bill Morey, what time at the fire department? It said 9 to 1. Uh, and I'll make a point to be there that whole time. Sorry. Uh, is Mike going to be there? I'm not sure I can afford. Jim Carker says, is Mike Urema going to be there? I'm not sure I can afford seeing him again so soon. Ah. Louis LaPlante. I have a friend that makes dog and cat collars, toys, etc. Would she be welcome to sign up for a booth? Her business is called Maiden Hand. Absolutely. No, but that's yes, Louis, yes, and that's the kind of stuff that I've done. Sports shows a long time, um, and you can tell when a promoter needs to fill space. But this is different. This is an all-inclusive situation where we really want to bring um, everybody in. I'm a big fan of making people feel welcome, and one thing that my event will do is make everybody feel welcome, and that also means having something for everybody to do and look at and enjoy. Um, and just in the outdoor show portion of Walleye Fest, Courtney and I have made a point, and we're still looking if anybody has any kid centric of these booths they do. I don't care if it's balloon animals or sand art, face painting, that kind of stuff. But as far as that goes, listen, everybody owns pets, and something like that, handmade, um, local, perfect. Have them sign up, Louis. Thank you. Gail Arnold says, Carl Kapfer, can you have the fire department post the event on their Facebook page? Then we can share the info. Gail, I'm sure if you go to the Alosta site, on Facebook, and I'm sure they have a page because I saw it. It's ELOSTA. I'll put it right here. And then you can share their post. Dennis Hook and I says 1996 was the year of the national championship game. Yeah. Yeah, it was 87 against Indiana. It was 96 against Kentucky. It was 2003. I thought there was another one in there. A couple Final Fours. Scott G, just tuned in. Matt, are you having hook set withdrawals? Are you ready to rip some blades? Yes. Yes. John Karnowski, good evening, neighbor. Rumble seat. Grandfathers are the best. Mine was. "20 years feels like yesterday, you know?" and it's still fresh and you know, it's funny. I spent all that time and money on his boat, and I don't regret a moment of it. Because even though I know I don't need things like that to remind me of him, I can't tell you how many days. You know, I always kept the passenger seat when I was fishing alone. I always kept it up and turned, thinking that he was in it, and he would be sitting there, and then we could talk, or he wouldn't be. You know, the chair wasn't folded down or anything like that. Silly or not, real or not, doesn't matter. Um, that was how I did, and that was how I tried to, you know, talk to him and show him the fish I'd catch, and you know, I wish I could go back and get those stories all over again and go out there. I mean, he'd been fishing in Idle Lake since he came home from the war, and that's World War II in the late 40s. You know, it's funny. Don Terry says my grandfather was an Idle Lake legend. I miss his stories. You know, Don, somebody was on here the other day saying to me about from Freemax. When I went down to Freemax and looked at a boat last fall, it was the first time I'd ever been in there as an adult, and that's where my grandpa used to buy all his parts. And then somebody was talking about Freedon Sports in Syracuse, and then Mulligan Sports in Syracuse. And I remember going to both those places because my I forget, it must have been Mulligan's. I don't know, whichever one sold guns, because my grandpa did a lot of gunsmithing work for those guys, for their customers. And that whole generation was amazing. I mean, it built the world, really. They came home from the war, and they were so God blessed happy to be alive that they made babies, they made businesses, they made factories, they made the world we live in. If it wasn't for them, none of what we're doing right now would even be thought of, you know. So they were yeah. We're at an hour, man. We've been talking for an hour. Great talk this evening, guys. Anybody got any other questions real quick before we call it a night? All right. I'll see everybody tomorrow at some point. If all goes well, I have more exciting Walleye Fest news tomorrow. I got a couple things that are waiting to drop tomorrow. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, buddy. I try to say it to you every single day we talk, and I don't say it enough. But thank you for everything you've done. All right, everybody, we're out of here. I'm out of here. You guys have a great evening. Keep your tip up.